All right, Shalom. This is Gamal Ya'Allah out of Great Millstone, Atlanta. I want to give all praises to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Rakakudash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to all the Akim that are pushing out this truth and sincerity. All right, now this is going to be a quick lesson. All right, and this is going to be centered around understanding dopamine, addictions, and the flesh. Okay, the lust of the flesh. All right. Now, basically, the spirit was on me to, research a little bit into addictions and the science behind addictions and, things of that nature. And first off, I want to say everyone is addicted to something. All right. Whatever it is, and you have good addictions and you have bad addictions, okay? But an addiction is a pattern, okay? Behavioral pattern, okay? And like I said, a lot of them can be negative to your health, okay? And some addictions, like I said, can be beneficial to you, all right? So mainly, we're gonna just focus on basically just understanding addictions in general, understanding how the brain works, because a lot of it's important to understand how the brain works so that you can actually understand. You can actually combat the flesh. Okay. It's a lot easier to fight the flesh if you can understand how the flesh works. Okay, understanding how the brain works, understanding how your mind works. Okay, and of course, we're gonna get into some scriptures as well. But the main thing is my main reason for this lesson is just to not only improve my own resistance, but also to edify other Akim and people out there that also want to improve resisting the flesh. Okay, all right. Now, matter of fact, I'll start out with some precepts. I want to ramble on too long. Bear with me one moment. All right, let's start out with Romans. Actually, Slovakia. Okay, yeah. Let's start out with First John. Grab it real quick. Bear with me. Okay, First John 2:16. All right, it says, "For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world." Okay, so going into basically the lust of the flesh, okay, it's all carnal. So we know that this matter of fact, let me get that. But we know that this life is a battle of yourself. Okay, all right. Let's get that. Because we know that you're your own worst enemy in this truth. Okay, so knowing that, then you have to conquer yourself. You have to basically curb your appetites, whatever your appetite is. It could be anything. This is Galatians 5:17. All right, it says, verse 16, after 16, it says, "This I say then, walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to another, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would." So basically, in everyone's mind, you have those feelings of I should do this, I shouldn't do that, you know? And whatever that desire is, okay, the flesh is going to tug you in this direction, but your spirit knows that this is wrong, and it's going to pull you in the other direction. So, like I said, it's important that our spirit outweighs our flesh, so that we're able to cut off whatever it is that's hindering us. Okay, and everyone has their vice. Everyone has their their thing that is their weakness. Okay, for some of us is drinking. For some of us is women. For some of us is well, sex. Having sex with women. For some of us it's even stuff like talking too much, even video games. Okay, whatever. Now, certain things can just waste your time, man. For some of us, we're addicted to working out. Now, of course, like I said, you have good addictions and you have bad addictions. Now, working out can be considered a good addiction, but that's where it goes into being a balance, because you can do that in excess, because the scriptures say bodily exercise profited little. So yes, it will benefit you. So it is a good thing to be addicted to. Excuse me, but doing that too much can basically doing anything in excess can hinder you. All right, doing anything in excess can basically lead you into an addiction. Okay, unless it's this truth. Okay, now of course we should be addicted to this truth. We should be addicted to this ministry, and that's what you would consider a good addiction. Addicted to salvation, addicted to righteousness. I got a precept too. All right, let's get Romans 12:9. Okay. This is Romans 12:9. All right, and it says, verse 9, let love be without dissimulation, abhor that which is evil, cleave to that which is good. Okay, so that's what we should do, is abhor that which is evil. Okay, so whatever bad addictions that we have, we should really abstain from that, and change. Okay, bring about a change. But it says cleave to that which is good. Okay, so what is good? Doing the will of the Heavenly Father, doing righteousness. Okay, reading, fasting, praying. And by fasting is another way that you basically are cutting off the flesh. You're afflicting yourself. All right, afflicting yourself is very important, because you're basically allowing the spirit to supersede your flesh. Okay, it says, be kindly affectioned be kindly affectioned one to another with brotherly love and honor, preferring one another. I keep going. It says, not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. Excuse me, I have a bad cough. But it says, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. You know? So this is the spirit that we have to have, man. You know? Is I keep going, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing instant in prayer. It's like, I think it's this damn incense. I think it's the smoke from the incense. Let me put it out real quick. All right. So, anyway, going back to my point is that, you know, you want to have good habits, okay? And your habits are what create your character, okay? Over time, your habits eventually mold who you are, okay? You know, and you know, it's all whatever you're putting your spirit into. If you're putting your spirit into righteous things, you're gonna reap. Let's get that. Let's get Galatians 6 and 7. All right. Be not deceived, the Most High is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For what he soweth to the flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. Okay? Which in my Bible it says death. So basically, if you're sowing according to the flesh, you're gonna receive death. Okay? Because YAHAWASHI was showing us to live according to the Spirit, okay? To live according, well, not just with the Holy Spirit, okay? You know? So it says, but he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. So that's what it's all about, is receiving life everlasting and sowing according to the Spirit, man. You know. So anyway, I want to go back into the topic, all right, because I want to go into basically just a brief understanding of dopamine and going into how the brain works in regards to addiction, okay? So basically what it is whenever you get pleasure out of something, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, you know? And what happens is when you first do that action, whenever you get pleasure out of something, okay, you know, the action leading up to you getting pleasure, to you getting that fulfillment, okay, after the fact is the dopamine, okay. So in other words, your first time doing something pleasurable or rewarding, right? You get a release of dopamine. But what happens is over time, okay, the second, third, fourth time you do that same action, what happens is whatever, because your brain doesn't recognize certain things. So in other words, let me gather my thoughts, Slakia. But basically, the second, third, fourth time of you doing that particular action, what happens is it's now a learned trait. So So as you're leading up to that fulfillment, you're leading into that fulfillment, whatever it is that got you that release, that good feeling the first time. Now the second time, your brain is releasing dopamine during the actual process prior to you receiving that fulfillment or satisfaction. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Um, Really, the first example that comes to mind is sex. All right, so in the act of sex, all right, your first time having sex, uh, you know, after the sex, you basically that you got the reward. Okay, so you got the fulfillment of it, you know. But over time, you know, you start to you're expecting the sex, so you start to release dopamine in the lead up to it. Okay, because you know your body is already knowing what to expect. So just like with addicts, with any drug addicts, right? They get a thrill out of purchasing the the accessories or purchasing from their supplier because they know that it's getting ready to lead into them getting their fix. Okay, so this is how addiction works: is by over time your body is basically craving that same feeling. So you ever heard that saying, you're chasing the same high? As far as a drug addict goes, well, yeah, you're chasing the same feeling. You're basically chasing that same feeling that you felt the first time. Okay, and what happens is, you basically that dopamine, that good feeling. Okay, it's repetitive, and now now you get to a point where there's a particular portion of your brain that deals with resistance, okay, or saying no, okay. There's a particular, and I think it's the frontal lobe. you know, I get it for sure. Uh, okay, let me find out what it's called. Um, let's see. Oh, prefrontal cortex. So let's see what that deals with. So your prefrontal cortex deals with um, uh, complex behaviors. Okay, so yeah, so basically, that's what it does. Uh, it says the ability to hold rules in the mind, reasoning. Um, so basically, that's the portion of your brain that deals with you telling yourself no. All right. So that's why I said it's important to understand how the brain works, so that you're able to basically resist. Now, of course, we have prayer, we have YAHAWASHI, okay, but these are also ways that you can you can conquer your flesh, okay? By understanding these concepts, by understanding how the mind works, okay? Because everything is behavioral, okay? You got to know. Matter of fact, I get that too. Let me find it. Okay, this is 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians 13:5. It says, "Examine yourselves whether you be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves, how that YAHAWASHI HaMashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates." Yeah, so a part of this, thing is examining yourself. All right, and how do you examine yourself? You have to understand. You have to understand what makes you tick. Okay, you have to understand, your urges, how to curb your urges, how to cut off certain things, man. This truth isn't just about you know getting whatever you want, man. You can literally spoil yourself. You can literally spoil yourself by always giving yourself what you want, especially if you have money. If you have the money, and that's how people go into addiction. That's how a lot of rich people go into drug addiction, is because they can afford it. They have money, so they spoil themselves. Look, I'm a basically, I got money. I can always afford to make myself feel good, so to speak. All right, but that addiction, what that leads to, is you lose the ability to say no, and you to tell yourself no, and you lose yourself. Okay, you no longer care about important things, you know, because that addiction, it supersedes whatever it is that whatever it is, what it limits or reduces your motivation. Okay, your drive. Okay, your driving force, because what it does is you're just trying to get satisfied. If you allow your body to always get what it wants, then and you're not pulling it away from certain things, eventually that's you're just gonna drive yourself into only getting that, into only doing that, and not focusing on other things. And then you're gonna spend way too much time, because like I said, everything is about balance. So if you're spending too much time in one area, if you're spending too much time doing this, then it's gonna take away your time from doing other important tasks. And then you'll just be completely out of balance, because you're just gonna basically spiral into uh, you know uh, bad patterns and bad habits, man. You know. So these are the important things of understanding the mind, understanding how, like I said, understanding how your mind works, so that you can empower yourself to overcome certain things, man. Because like I said, everyone has something that is holding them back, something that they're uncomfortable with about themselves, that they wish that they could limit. They wish they could pull back from it, or just do less of. Okay, you know, and this, through the Spirit, this is how you do it. Understanding, how your body works, understanding how your mind works, limiting things, man. Restraining, taking it a day at a time. You know, Same thing we had to do when we had to cut off pork. Same thing we had to do when we had to cut off, you know, for brothers that used to smoke. Same thing we had to do when we had to stop getting lineups and certain things of that nature. It's all a work in progress. Okay, so when we came into this truth, we didn't just quit cold turkey. I mean, eventually you did, but you have to work into it. You can't just, you're not just gonna just become a man of the Lord overnight. You gotta be able to take it a step at a time. I'm gonna stop doing this. I'm gonna take it one day at a time, you know, and then eventually that pattern becomes second nature, and that becomes who you are. I no longer do that. And actually, let's get that too, because this whole thing is about growing, man. You know, it's about, you know, moving forward, improving yourself, becoming the best version of you in righteousness. You know, in the Lord, allowing the Lord to really cleanse you and become a new vessel. You know, and in order to become a new vessel, you have to limit your urges, even by fasting. Fasting is a very good method of limiting your urges, your lust. Okay, Ephesians 4:22. I start at 21. It says 20. But ye have not so learned Hamashiach, if so be that ye have heard by him. It's like if so be that ye have heard him, and that have been taught by him, as the truth is in YAHAWASHI, that ye put off concerning the former conversation the old man, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. Okay? So the old man was corrupt according to deceitful lusts. Okay, because those deceitful lusts, those are the bad habits that you used to have. Okay, those are the addictions that you used to have. Okay, but that's why we put that off. We have to, and it says, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. Now, what does that mean to be renewed in the spirit of your mind? Creating new patterns, creating new ways of thinking. Okay, you have to really understand how in order to renew your mind, you have to understand your mind. We just went into that. Okay, that word renew means to be made new. Okay, and it says, and that ye put on the new man, which after YAHAWASHI, which after Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI is created in righteousness and in true holiness. Okay, so renewing your mind, going back into how it says put on the new man. Okay, so literally how your brain works, going back into the so-called science of things, your brain works in neurological patterns. Okay, so your neurons basically your brain has signals. Okay, and your brain sends signals to whatever, your fingers, your organs, all right, to do certain things. Your brain basically sends urges to do certain things, and those signals and what happens is over time, that's how you learn a skill. When you learn a new skill, your brain is forming new patterns. It's forming new neurons. Okay. Now what happens is over time, those neurons strengthen. Those patterns begin to get very strong. Okay, to a point where it's second nature. You see what I'm saying? Just like if you're learning how to play piano, well, any instrument. If you're learning how to play any instrument, what happens is how do you think people learn any skill? First, they start out with no knowledge on the subject, okay? And then they begin to apply it, okay? So that's their brain basically forming new patterns, forming new neurons. Then over time, your body just is an expert. Your body becomes an expert, and you become a natural, you know, because it's just second nature. If you ever look at experts at anything physical, how do you think they got to that point of being a professional? All right, it's through repetition, and that's how the repetition. That's how you gain skill. Okay, you look at a lot of these athletes, and they make it look easy. Now, why does it look easy to them? Because it's well, it is easy. It's second nature. Their body is already uh, uh, doing the work for them, so to speak, because they've been doing it so long. Now, what's not easy is the practice of it. Okay, the process of becoming the expert. Okay, so in other words, they had to put a lot of time and a lot of hours in order to form those patterns for that particular skill to be second nature. Now they're doing it like just fluid because they put so much time in. All right. Now, like I said, on a sports level or on a physical level, these can be good. These can be what you would consider good addictions. Sports will be, in the world, sports will be considered a good addiction because look, you can make money from it. You can, it's physical. You're constantly, your body is constantly moving. You're in shape. Okay. So this is what you would consider a good addiction. But like I said, a bad addiction, that's why you got to be careful whatever you're putting your spirit into, because a bad addiction can lead you into into repeating negative behavior. Okay, to where now you're becoming an expert in wickedness. Okay, like for instance, smoking weed or whatever, because you start to become good at it. Your mind is you're subliminally just an expert at whatever. So the point is, whatever you put your spirit into, what you reap is what you're gonna sow. So if you are whatever it is, it's gonna grow. It's gonna continue to grow. And like I said, that dopamine, what's gonna happen is your brain is going to send dopamine, okay, and send urges to your body to keep doing that, to keep doing whatever it is, you know. And let's see. Yeah, I think. See if there's anything else I want to touch on. So I'm gonna do a part 2 on this, all right? Because I wanna, what I wanna get into as far as this subject as well is internet addiction. All right, so Lord willing, I'm gonna do a part 2, and I'll kind of get more specific as far as addictions and how the so-called white man has basically degenerated us. Okay, he's made us into basically addictive machines. Okay, to where the internet is, because the internet is an addictive thing, man. It's probably the most addictive thing. Because it's constantly, it's so much out there. You know, and another thing that I'm gonna touch on is porn addiction. You know, all these different addictions, man. You know, so Lord willing, you were edified. I'll end it with that. Like I said, I'm gonna do a part 2, Lord willing, on this subject, and I want to end off by giving all praises to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone, and Shalom.